Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World. And in this video, I'm going to go over a character review for Traumerei. And yeah, I'm going to cover the usual points. I'm going to talk about how good this unit is. We're going to look at the skills, exclusive equipment, gear, initial weapon, rapport, and revolution. I will mention more, I will focus more on whether you should pull for him or not, because as you know, by the time this video is out, his banner is going to end really soon because the update is tomorrow. So yeah, I will try to provide you more information on whether you should pull for this guy or not and what you can expect at the different levels of investment. And yeah, that's going to be the main focus. Then we're going to go over the usual points that I just mentioned. So yeah, for how good this unit is, I think it's clear to everyone. This guy is the best unit in the game as of right now, especially at max investment. There will be no unit that can potentially beat him. And I will say the fact that we have no information on how to obtain this guy, like after his banner is gone, all we know is that we're going to have a 0.1% chance on the black market, but we know nothing else. We don't know if they plan in the future to add a new banner for all family heads and stuff like that, or if they plan on rerunning his banner. We have no idea, and this obviously causes a lot of fear of missing out on people. And I totally get that, and that's probably what they are trying to aim for, especially now that we are like so close to having the banner expire. I will try my best to provide you with information to make an informed decision on whether you want to go for him or not, especially if you're free to play. If you're not free to play, even though I don't like to recommend people to spend on this game, I would say try to max him out. If you are a spender, I would max him out. No questions asked, I'd say. Because really, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and you might regret not pulling for him, especially because in PvP, people that have him maxed will beat you if you don't have him maxed. No way for you to. There might be ways for you to beat him, but it's extremely complicated. So I would say if you are willing to spend, go for it and max him out. That's going to be super worthwhile. It's going to help you a lot in every kind of content except for bosses. It might be useful every now and then, but not really that much. But for PvP and adventure is absolutely a monster. And yeah, if you're free to play, that's where it gets tricky. From my point of view, this guy has, I don't want to say three different stages, but he's already good at no dupes. So no real need to go past that, other than the fact that opens up some potential new playstyles. Already from 3 green, but more so from 3 purple because it gets the additional stats again. And at 3 purple, you have some more play styles that you can play him in, like the DPS one with the special move where you use him with Garam and Mamanak, though it's difficult if you have Garam with invested attack subnodes in Revolution, but I already covered that in one of the previous videos. So yeah, there is an additional playstyle and it might do damage even if he's not relying on the passive. So on no dupes, he relies almost 100% on the passive to deal damage and to be useful. If it's a 3 purple, 3 red, he also has the possibility of having a useful special move. So that's something to consider. That's an okay stopping point. But then at Rainbow 5, this guy is a monster. His special move deals a ton of damage. His revolution upgrades are insane, especially the subnodes upgrades. He gets the special move Pierce, he gets the cooldown reduction, which is somewhat okay, even though his active skills are not the best. But it gets also the attack subnode, a lot of good stuff. And also all the tanky subnodes that he gets from Revolution are extremely helpful as well in this case, because you really want him to be able to tank. He has like crazy high stats right off the bat. He has higher stats than all other units, obviously, because he's a higher rarity. So all that into account, plus the not non-targetable and the other upgrades that I'm going to look at later on, makes him a Rainbow 5, the strongest unit in the game, even if he's not using the passive. But yeah, that's the main difference. I would say zero dupes is recommended for every single account. Just get him if you don't have him yet. Get him at zero dupes is going to be super good against shields and attack buffer. Amazing. In other scenarios, not as beneficial, but still quite okay. His special move at least has some utility, even if he's not dealing damage. So really, really good unit. If you have a lot of resources and you can max him out as a free to play, because I already said if you're a spender, go for him, max him out, I would say, is what I would do personally, even though I don't like, again, to recommend to people to spend money, but that's what I would do. If you're free to play and you have like 900 summons total, I could say try going for 3 green and see if you eat PT every time, I'd stop. If you are lucky and you get into 3 blue and like 300 summons, then you could as well try to go for 3 purple with your 600 summons. If you don't, I'd still stop. Probably if you're like 1 blue after 300 summons, I would stop probably. And let's say you have potentially all the summons you need to get him maxed, which on average is around 1400. If you have 1400 summons, you could try to get him to 3 purple and see how many summons that takes you. If you never hit PT, like if you always get him at 70, 80 summons all the time, maybe that's a good thing and you can just max him out and you would still have a lot of summons to spare. If you hit PT almost every single time and it costs you a crazy amount of tickets to get him to 3 purple, I would stop there. So that's only if you have really like 1400 plus summons available. Because I like to have something spare in case of like future units. For now, we only know we are getting Albilda this month and Calavan. No SSR unit. Those two SSR plus. Albilda is a support. She could be okay at zero dupes, so not much investment. Calavan, if he's green, is not going to be as impactful as Traumerei most likely for a green team. Obviously, it might have some synergies with other units from other colors, but we don't know that. So I don't know. It might also be a skip, so you kind of have some time to build up resources, but if you're free to play, that's obviously not enough for the collab we're going to have in November, which could be a skip if you're free to play that's been playing for a long time, meaning you have a lot of other units. If you are a new player and you don't have a lot of units built, collabs are usually a good way to get some cheap units maxed out, even though they might like fall off later on because they will release other units to replace them as they already did for the previous two collabs. So they are not a worthwhile long-term investment, but if you are like starting out, they're extremely cheap way to get some maxed out units for relatively cheap. So yeah, but again, I digressed a little bit. So really difficult for me to tell you what to do with Traumerei. All I can tell you is what I said before, the 3 different stopping points and how I would approach it based on the amount of summons I have. If you have like 200,000 suspendium, that is like 400 summons on his banner, I would leave him in no dupes. I wouldn't bother getting copies for him. He's not really going to change that much, okay? If you cannot guarantee the 3 purple while still having resources to spare, then I'd stop at no dupes. That's kind of the approach. Let me know if you still have doubts, if you have a specific use case. Try to write it down in the comments. I will try to reply, but I cannot guarantee I reply before the banner is actually expired. So no guarantees, but if you're still wondering, just drop a comment down below and I will try to reply as soon as possible. So yeah, that's more or less it. I already talked a lot about this unit for the like impression plus the uh, status at different levels of investment. So I'd say we can go over the skills. But before that, I will mention that I'm showing the like the spreadsheet as well, and you can see I don't have a rank yet for the unit. I can already tell you this guy is S plus. Revolution 3, like already at no investment at all, is already S plus. Fully maxed out is on a different tier, and I'm still wondering how I can change my spreadsheet so that family heads are kind of treated differently. Because I would rank them at zero dupes, and then when they are fully investment, I would have a different tier list for only family heads. But at the moment, there is only Traumerei, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to create it. And I will still think a bit more about that. We'll see. So for now, no rankings, but it's obviously, as I mentioned, one of the strongest unit in the game, most likely. So yeah, for the rest, I just added some information here regarding no dupes, purple, rainbow, though this doesn't necessarily apply that well to him due to how rare he is. So like this investment here, +5, +5, +5, you can already do it at zero dupes. And the same thing here. Okay, yeah, put the path theory or whatever. And yeah, that's more or less the logic. So yeah, let's go over the skills really quickly, and then we're going to cover the other points soon. For the passive, we kind of already know what it does. It's going to summon Kraken and Cobalt at both ends of the battlefield with 120% of his stats. Pretty cool. And they're going to decrease the energy of the enemies while also taking damage from that Traumerei is receiving. The Kraken is going to increase his attack for 10 seconds whenever an ally dies, including also summoned beings, which is not the best. This guy is kind of weak. And he's also going to fire a Shinsu Cannon when an ally dies. So not the best of conditions. You don't really want your allies to die. The only unit that can really synergize well with him is a DPS kind of Gustang. That's the only use case. Everyone else doesn't really want their summons to die. So you're not getting a lot of attacks from the Kraken. Not the best, I'd say. Really, I don't like it. But Cobalt, on the other hand, is super amazing. It's going to remove attack increase buffs and barriers from enemies whenever they receive it, and deal a detonate a shockwave on all enemies, dealing 20% of their max HP. This is absolutely insane. Against units with a lot of shields, this is absolutely a broken skill. Really, this is where most of his damage is coming from. Before is 3 red in that Garam Anak composition, or is Rainbow 5. And even then, when you're facing these kind of units, this is still going to be the most of his damage. But it's insane. Like it's an AoE 20% max HP damage is absolutely nuts. Crazy, crazy good. Last part of the passive, all like the 2 summons and Traumerei himself are going to be immune to all status effects except for silence and do not move. And for this, there is something weird. And if you are on my Discord, you might have seen a post where someone was trying if silence was counted as a crowd control for the Rafflesia effect. There are some weird interactions here and there, so I'm not going to talk about them in the video because they might change soon. They might get patched or whatever. But yeah, this is the passive, absolutely amazing, and that's the core of his kit. And we have the Revolution 7 upgrade. The Traumerei cannot be targeted if Kraken or Cobalt are present on the battlefield. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, basically is never going to die. He has crazy high resistances. He has crazy high defense, a lot of HP. Really, this guy is basically mortal. No AoE attacks that would uh, get him would deal any damage to him anyway. He also has the damage redirect to the summons. So really, really good for survivability here. Then we have the first active skill. I don't like it at all, but whatever. Gaze is going to remove all conceal state from enemies. useless as of right now, might be more useful in the future if more enemies with conceal are released. But I don't think we're getting any this month because we have Albedo that doesn't have it. Calavant won't have conceal, so maybe the collab will. I have no idea. So far, pretty useless. Is then going to decrease swiftness on nearby enemies. Pretty much worthless as well. The AoE is too small. Could be okay if the enemies are close range. You put him in the front line and he's Revolution 7. The enemies might walk close to him. Not that reliable. I wouldn't really rely on that. Then physical and magic resistance shred for 10 seconds is whatever. At least this has a duration. Well, no, it's not like it has a duration. Like it's still the AoE that lasts for 10 seconds, but it no, it's still bad. This one makes no sense. I don't really like this. The AoE is too small, and yeah, makes no sense. The Revolution upgrade is somewhat okay, at least for him. He's getting a 30% physical magic resistance, which is not bad. You still want to have a starting 100% anyway, but at least this prevents some pierce and additional stuff, though it's only for a limited amount of time. So, kind of weak skill, whatever. With the Revolution upgrade, it might buff an ally, but not really worth it. Then we have Ruler of All Things, the other active skill, is going to become invincible for 2 seconds, 4 with the exclusive equipment, and increase attack of all allies, including summon beings, by 80%, and is then going to order Kraken and Cobalt to attack once each. This is the only way the Kraken will attack, so yeah, whatever. Then we have the Revolution upgrade. Traumerei is going to increase also the defense of all allies by 80%. Pretty nice for survivability purposes. It's not the biggest defense buff that we have. Like we have other units that have a bigger one, like for example, regular Leroro. He has a bigger defense buff if I remember correctly. Gustang has a lower one. Bam should have a bigger one. Okay, whatever. But there are some defense increase. They're not too bad, especially once you're hitting really high deficit, where even the 1% you're getting, like the 1% damage you're getting, that is not covered by resistances, would still kill you pretty fast. Defense comes in handy in that scenario. So pretty good, but not insane, I'd say. Then we have the special move, absolutely amazing attack. Uh, Obviously a lot better with the Revolution, but that's only if he's Rainbow 5. Traumerei becomes immune to status effects and unleashes all creatures towards the end of the battlefield to deal 200% of his attack as damage 12 times, each hit jolting the enemies and pushing them back, getting a silence from the exclusive equipment. And here, Traumerei increases the magic pierce of all allies, pretty cool, by 30% for 8 seconds when using Unleash All Creatures. This is definitely a really nice buff, lasting for 8 seconds, and you can easily recast the special move before it expires. So it's effectively a 30% magic pierce increase on all your teammates, which is pretty nice. Though if you're at this point, is most likely the best, like the top damage dealer of your team anyway. But yeah, pretty cool. And we don't really care about the arena buff, or at least I don't care that much. So next we can have a look at the exclusive equipment. The stat increase, obviously nice. The lifesteal, I don't like it as much. Could have been physical resistance. That would have been a lot better. Made it a lot easier to build. Lifesteal is still okay because it doesn't have access to it in the subnodes, and it's nice to have more sustain on your Cobalt and your Kraken. So I guess it's still fine. I'd rather have it in an upgrade here below and just have physical resistance here, but okay, whatever. Then we have Traumerei silences enemies hit by unleash your creatures, what I just mentioned, for 3 seconds. Pretty nice, and if you use him with Garam and Anak, that's enough time to perma silence all enemies. Pretty cool. Level 2, Kraken and Cobalt energy drain increases by 10 every second. Just taking the energy decrease from 30 to 40. I haven't checked, and I don't really think there is a proper way to check if it's actually 10 every second, so it would be 30 to 60 because it's applied every 3 seconds, and it's 30 to begin with. This will make it an additional 30. I don't think that's the case. It's probably just from 30 to 40, but okay. Invincibility duration of ruler over things increases by 2 seconds, so from 2 to 4. I might have pronounced something weird here, but whatever. Level 4, Traumerei attack increases by 6% and defense by 6% when hit by any status effect other than silence. This is pretty much like Urek, and you're going to get a 30% attack and defense increase. These kind of gets weaker with Revolution 7 because you cannot be targeted, but there are a lot of status effects that are AoE, so you'd still be hit by those and easily proc this effect. There is no duration, so you would just have it for an unlimited amount of time. Pretty good, and yeah, there's not much else to mention here. For the gear, I will also show here, the most important pieces are obviously the resistances, so slot 4, and the damage, so slot 2. This is more if you're building him, like it's okay to also boost the damage from the max HP and the passive, like the Cobalt is doing. So it's still okay to have it. It's not going to have a lot of crit rate and crit damage anyway. Supports don't get any of those from Revolution, so that's unfortunate. And that's also why a lot of new family heads will deal more damage than him if they are ranged or mages or assassins. They will outdamage him almost for sure. So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. Accuracy, fine if you cannot hit, but he has a lot of accuracy in general. Like accuracy is not that big of a problem anymore. Accuracy and evasion, more or less the same. Only invest in it just for completionism or however to call that. And if you really need the stats, otherwise just ignore it pretty much. For the ignition weapon, I will say Rafflesia doesn't really have a good synergy with him because you cannot, like Rafflesia implies that you are getting hit by the effect. If we go like here, it says if the wielder is inflicted, though could be a case like for Doris that says the wielder is getting the buff, but it's actually the backline that's getting the buff. So could be a type of sorts. It might not be inflicted, but is attacked with a status effect attack, whatever. Could be a mistranslation, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So you actually have to be impacted or have the status effect applied to you for Rafflesia to remove it. And since he's immune to most status effects except for silence, this doesn't work on him. And silence seems to have a weird interaction, and Rafflesia doesn't recognize it as a status effect for some reason. No confirmation, still have to look into it, but there are really weird synergies with this set. So I'd say don't go for that, except if you need it for the 2-piece, then okay, but the 4-piece doesn't really work on Traumerei. So the best set for him would be an L set with slot 4 magic resistance and slot 5 magic pierce if you can still get 99% of both resistances with that setup. If you cannot, then go for physical resistance slot 5. That's more or less the setup. If like the other option could be a Sela, that's an okay option too. You can run Sela, and at that point, the bare minimum you want is 83% in both resistances, so that the salmon beings can have enough resistances to be over 100, and so that you can, at least for the first stages of the fight, have over 100% resistances. Still, the best would be 93%, but is okay even at 83, but that's just the bare minimum. If you can reach it while running slot 5 Magic Pierce. Otherwise, if you cannot even reach that, just go double resistance and that's fine. So yeah, that's more or less what you want to do ideally. And the 2 sets I would recommend, you might run ID as well. That's an option. You might run some other sets. That's fine. But really L is what allows you to also chain special moves a bit more easily. So I would still go for L. 2-piece is okay, but will be removed by Garam, Anniversary and Urek as well. So trickier to use, up to you. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I'd say, for the ignition weapon. If we go over to Rapport, there is not much here to say. This gift is not used by many units. I think now there is also Garam that's using it. So Garam, Traumerei. Uh, Now we can buy 175 selection chests with 1500 suspendium. That's a good deal if you still have a lot of units to invest on. And that's a deal that they're releasing with every single new unit that's coming out. So you could as well buy that and select the gifts you need for Traumerei or the other units and just get into Rapport 6 and be done with it. I don't really see this report as problematic as it once was. Sure, you can stop level 4, but I would say just go all the way to level 6 on basically all units. There is really no need anymore to spare these resources with the fact they're giving them to us for like 1500 suspended. And the last point is Revolution. I kind of already touched upon that, but since the Revolution tab on my spreadsheet, and we can look at it here, I still haven't filled it in with the new tiers, and I still haven't added the stats here for the subnodes. I will for sure split them out of this tab. That's why I still haven't done it. So yeah, I will briefly talk about the different subnodes and what I would invest in, which is more or less what I have invested in right now. So for the skill upgrades, we have at Orange 4, the Gaze upgrade is okay, is the one that was giving physical and magic resistance. I wouldn't really care too much about it, so Orange 4 is not as important. Rainbow 5 gets access to a lot of stuff. So yeah, for Rainbow 5, you get access to the attack percentage subnode, which is huge. The defense buff, it's okay. You get the magic pierce increase, which is awesome. Plus you get, okay, cooldown reduction is not as important, but still pretty good. The cannot be targeted is also really nice, plus the affected, super good. And the last tier, you have special move pierce. Defense is not the most important trait to unlock, but it's still a nice one. So Rainbow 5 basically gives you access to half the tree, which is insane. From Orange 4 to Rainbow 5, the change is massive. And you can already tell the stats you gain access to are massive. Attack increase is massive. The recovery received, I wouldn't bother. It's like what, 90%? No, 60% total, doesn't really matter. Special move resistance plus 60%. Super OP in PvP, okay in adventure. It just makes it so the enemy special move just almost nothing to you. Max cooldown reduction, again, okay for the attack command, and that's pretty much it. To have a higher uptime on the attack buff, and that's it. Not that important, but still quite nice. The accuracy, only if you need it, is like 300 total accuracy, yes. So you do have access to a shit ton of it. Only get it if you actually need it. Otherwise, you can leave it at 0 like me and be fine with that. Effect hit, super important in PvP, not as much in adventure. Still a super nice node to have since 400 is a ton. Then in the last one, we have special move pierce. Amazing. You're a Rainbow 5, your special move will deal a ton of damage. 60% pierce plus the 30% here from Revolution 6 is a massive increase, even if you're running full resistances. So yeah, that's amazing. That's simply amazing. Defense increase, as I was mentioning, is good if you are pushing a deficit to make it so it doesn't die, and also its summons don't die. For the previous ones, so up to I would say Orange 4, we have HP increase, also okay to improve survivability, not a must. I would say more if you're focusing on PvP. Crit hit resistance, a PvP thing. You don't really care too much about adventure, but again, will just boost your survivability quite a lot. For crit damage reduction, is nice when you're getting a crit. The crit damage increase of the enemy is going to be decreased by 40. Not bad. It's an okay decrease. For adventure, whatever for PvP. Pretty important. Effect resistance plus 200 is not as much as the 400 of the affected, but still pretty important to have. And yeah, for both adventure and PvP, this just helps you dodge the annoying debuffs. It's not going to be helpful against status effects because you are immune to most of them, but for sure is going to be important for dodging silence and also dodging debuffs. Then we have evasion. I don't bother as much with that, but I guess it's fine. It's just 80 though. Yes, it's 80. So I wouldn't bother. It's really a small amount right now. I wouldn't invest anything, even though it's pretty cheap, but I still wouldn't put any points in that. So yeah, that's more or less also the revolution part. I think that's pretty much it. There is not much else to say. I might show maybe a clear or two, but again, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I didn't clear that much. And here I wasn't even using him. Let me just see if I used him here for sure. So like this team was even random. I don't think I really put much thought into it. And as you can see, like this guy, here wasn't even Rainbow 5 actually. That's even funnier. But a Rainbow 4 already, you could deal this amount of damage. And here we don't have basically any shield in the enemy team except for the one that the bells create for Garam, and maybe some attack buffs here and there from some of these units. I don't recall 100%. So most of this damage comes from the special move alone, and I wasn't running Garam to boost his special move. I wasn't running uh, Mamanach to give him additional energy. There is not an array either. It's really just him, and he already dealt more damage than Kaiser. He's absolutely a monster unit. The Kraken attacked because my Lororo just died, probably didn't even have any resources. Fashion move, absolutely insane. Just a ton of damage. 30 billion per tick. Absolutely amazing. The rest of the team just died. He's still there, attacking, dealing a shit ton of damage. This guy is just stupid. Not much to say. I don't think this showcase showed much, but this amount of power can already be achieved with 3 red, to be honest. So again, that's a good stopping point, but it's not that important. And if you're using him against the right teams, he's going to be totally fine and no dupes. So yeah, that's mostly of what I can tell you guys for now. Let me know if you have any doubts in the comments down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow during the live stream, I would say. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next time. Bye.